ended with Burning Man last time, and I think there's a lot more to say there, that we need to go back to what were we tapping into when we were thinking about what the people are doing at those music festivals, what they're doing in the. I mean, you need to go to the desert to be in that physical space. It's not enough just to listen to the music that you might hear on your headphones, or you need to somehow be in the and I think it matters that it's out. I spend a lot of time going out to the desert and for real, right? It's like I grew up in Texas. Lived in New Mexico. You go into the mountains a lot. You go into the desert. What happens when you go into the desert and on vision quests and things like that? And so the people that are there, they're out there in Burning Man. What are they looking for?
That's a very good question. I mean, uh, this kind of rave scene started in Goa in India.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Tell me more about the rave scene.
So,
Oh, would you perhaps know something? Okay, come on. I'll give my. So I was in college in the early '80s, and we spent a lot of time in the early '80s listening to music from the late '60s. I've read Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. Come on, and I was certainly. I mean, I end up as a medievalist. I think not coincidentally, because it drew me in with some kind of mysticism that is there. But let's be fair. I listened to a lot of Pink Floyd. And oh no, I mean, this is on the blog, right? Back in 2010, when Roger Waters started the world tour of The Wall, I was there at the opening. Maybe not sure it was the. Well, no, wait. It may have been actually the very opening performance of that. Certainly in Chicago, because one of my friends' brother was in it. Robbie Wyckoff, who sang the "Comfortably Numb" on the if you, I don't know if anybody saw the Wall production, right? But it toured. It stayed on tour for like the whole decade, right? The Wall is on tour for the decade of the teens, and Robbie was there, and I was just like, he sang it like it sounded to me as it was in my records when I was in college listening to it. Beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And then we got to meet him afterwards, so I have pictures with Wyckoff. And I didn't like it being in the concert in the United Center, with the sort of everybody stood up and they just stood up there. We were stuck in our seats, right? It was like there was that,
yes.
When I went to hear the Grateful Dead. See, you're gonna have to top this, right? Trump this.
We're learning
this.
Things about you now.
I was in graduate school. I was in college in Houston, and I went to a David Bowie concert at the Summit. There was he passed a globe around or something, right? I went to a Go-Go's concert, which you can laugh at. They were great. I still love the Go-Go's. I managed to hear Jethro Tull in concert once, although I was sad about that because they weren't as good in concert as I felt like they were on their records. And we went to hear the Grateful Dead. This is actually topical to what happened in the last year with the concert at Astroworld. I think we went to Six Flags. We were in Houston. Which one is it? The Grateful Dead came, and with that concert, we got to just sit on the grass and listen to them, which was actually nicer. So I can see myself going to Burning Man. Maybe not now, but I could certainly see myself. Well, actually, so you showed me once a picture of a woman. I want to wear this, right? She's got. I had clothes a little bit like that when I was in college, right? Spangly, rainbowy things. Do
you have it up?
Yeah, she's up. She's got her bikini on. She's got her chakra necklace. She's got her little short shorts, which I probably once, maybe for a couple of years of my life, ever could have managed to wear right after I started fencing and got really skinny. She's got her shades, and she looks like a rainbow bird. She's beautiful. I would wear that if I had the figure for it, for sure.
A kind of cross between an Olympic athlete and a shaman and a kind of Woodstock hippie.
Yes. And I can actually say, I have American greatness cred on this now, because there was a nice essay talking about the sort of harmony between the hippies and the conservatives.
Yeah, I remember that article.
For local culture, and I finally found my I found my home. I get it, right? I've been, you know, a hippie all the time, and now whatever I am now, it's been the same quest.
Yes.
So now tell us about what you did down south. Your raving world. Do you rave? Do you rave like we do in the South?
No, we kind of. I'll give you the short version of it. So, Australia's rave scene exploded. It was huge down here because we have the link to Great Britain. And so we imported a lot of that British bass music scene down under, and then kind of reworked it and did our own thing. But the outdoor festival culture became massive as well. So it was kind of a two styles: warehouse parties and then these massive outdoor gatherings like Burning Man. What do people do with these things?
I don't know. As you said, you know, Burning Man is actually the apotheosis or epitome of the kind of, you know, music I liked to listen to in college. That feeling of being out in this, it's slightly artificial and slightly natural space, right? It's kind of, you know, it's shamanistic. Casey and saying in the chat that Burning Man in your picture looks like a Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. Yeah, I think there's there's definitely an artistic feel to the desire to participate in this. I mean, their costumes, we were probably smoking stuff. Tobacco, I told you that. So, you know, they're obviously associated with alternate substances other than my wine here, but wine is a good Dionysian.
It's bring your own apothecary, really, at these events. But the whole thing is set up like massive performance art slash liturgical ritual. Right. So it's multisensorial and it's completely immersive. That's the thing about them that was so captivating, because you're all your senses all at once, and then influencing your sensory perception with whatever chemical means you've decided to do that with. But the idea is to leave reality and come into a kind of make-believe world for a little while. So there's a feeling of having left the norm and come into a space where you're expected to be able to do things, say things that you can't in another context, be more uninhibited and whatever. But the whole idea of it is that people are looking at a kind of rebirth experience, I think. That's what it always felt like, because I'm just trying to think, like the festival culture that we kind of developed in Australia, you know, sampling what was going on in Britain, sampling a little bit of what was going on in the States, a lot of people running over to India to visit Goa and, you know, bringing that kind of thing back down here. It was like a cosmopolitan folk religion. So you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then pull it all together into a space where, as you said, it's kind of half natural, but it is very artificial, because everything there is man-made. The art installations are man-made. The music is mechanical.
Yes, electric. Well, it's what Marshall McLuhan was reflecting on all of this around the time of Woodstock, right? So that first disastrous mud pit of music festival.
Yeah.
And I think I like what you said, cosmopolitan folk. That's he called it international motley. This sort of drawing from all world cultures, which to a certain extent we can recognize has been going on in the whole of modernity. Modernity is a kind of cosmopolitan folk culture that say go to the Crystal Palace back in 1851 in London, and the desire for all of the different cultures was a craftsmanship, right? They brought together all of these artists to demonstrate the industry and also craft work of the people, but from all over the world, and they're all there under one roof. And the Crystal Palace, I'm just thinking of this now, otherwise I'd have a picture of it. The Crystal Palace was built over the trees, so it was iron glass, and then enclosing these trees, so that the performance space, and they did musical things. They had poetry. Queen Victoria showed up a number of times, and they had various events associated with the craft display. But maybe, I mean, it's like also what you're describing fits very well with, I'm thinking like the tent revivals that were a feature of like American Southern culture, definitely. To go, and they still are. I mean, there's the circus tent culture, but there's also the prayer tent culture. To go out and want to be transformed. I mean, you're obviously expecting to go through some kind of spiritual transformation. And I know that from when I was in college, and we're listening to the music and wanting to be part of it. By the time we're hearing David Bowie in the Summit, Convention Center in Houston, that's why I say I didn't like it. I liked the music, and I liked seeing my friends' brothers singing Comfortably Numb in the United Center here, but it felt corporate and artificial. There was no magic that was going to happen under those circumstances, where we definitely could feel like there could be magic that would happen in our sort of impromptu music playing and drawing and dancing and other things that we might have done in college, potentially. Maybe I bought some of those tarot cards back in college from the same shop that Marianne Williamson used to shop at. Just saying. I mean, I could run for president too.